End to end, Johnny Carson's Tonight Show wasn't just a stage, it was his kingdom. Night after night, America tuned in to watch the king of late-night comedy command the spotlight with charm, wit, and impeccable timing. But behind the laughs and applause lay a list of names that made him seethe, betray his calm, and question his own patience. Bob Hope topped that list. While the nation adored Hope for decades of films, Vegas shows, and USO tours, Carson saw an entirely different man. Each Hope appearance drained The Tonight Show, as the comedian's thick scripts, entourage, and relentless self-promotion hijacked the stage. Carson endured Christmas specials commandeering his show, golf shoes for charity shoved into his hands, and a demand for audience laugh tracks to pad Hope's programs. Beyond the professional frustration, Carson despised Hope's personal hypocrisy, womanizing, stingy, and self-serving despite a fortune that could have done so much good. To the public, Hope was legendary. To Carson, he was a fraud exploiting laughter for personal gain. Joan Rivers, once a beloved protege, became a deeper wound. From a rising star breaking audiences into laughter, Rivers' ambition morphed into betrayal when she accepted a Fox contract without consulting Carson. On air, she mocked his personal life, flaunted cosmetic surgery, and clung to fame above loyalty. Her scandalous behavior, offensive remarks, rumor-laden romances, and ruthless career tactics solidified her place in Carson's blacklist. Betrayal stung more than failure, and Rivers embodied the darkness behind Hollywood glamour. Carson felt the weight of his protege's ambition turned against him, a lesson in trust shattered by stardom's ruthless climb. After betrayal and exploitation, Johnny Carson's patience faced a new type of threat, one that blurred humor with danger. Wayne Newton, the king of Las Vegas, turned harmless monologues into a tense spectacle. Initially fodder for jokes about his flamboyance and high-pitched voice, Newton's response escalated from embarrassment to confrontation. In 1982, after enduring repeated on-air jabs, he stormed into Carson's dressing room, face cold and determined, his words echoing about family and respect. NBC staff feared the worst, and whispers of underworld connections made the encounter even more unnerving. Carson realized that even a controlled joke could spark real-life danger. Beyond Newton, the stakes of hosting reached surreal heights with Frank Sinatra. In 1976, Sinatra barged onto the stage mid-monologue, hijacking the show with his entourage, private jokes, and Vegas tales. Carson, the king of late night, was sidelined on his own stage as cameras followed Sinatra's every move. What the audience saw as star power was to Carson a humiliation, intensified by Sinatra's notorious mafia rumors, endless affairs, and violent temper. Every taping became a battle to maintain decorum against a superstar who lived for chaos. Then came George Carlin, whose razor-sharp satire transformed comedy into risk. Carson, a master of control, found the unpredictability terrifying. Carlin's blunt attacks on politics, the Pope, and drug culture turned every episode into a potential FCC disaster. The 7 dirty words, controversy, underscored the peril. A single joke could ignite national scandal. While audiences adored Carlin's rebelliousness, Carson experienced dread backstage, constantly bracing for the next volatile word. Carlin's wild, unapologetic style contrasted sharply with Carson's measured delivery, leaving the host feeling like he was sitting on a ticking time bomb. Even as Carlin faded from frequent appearances, his shadow remained, proof that a guest could challenge not just laughs, but the safety and reputation of the king of late night. Johnny Carson's endurance was tested not just by danger or betrayal, but by guests who dominated the stage with sheer force of personality. Tom Snyder, the razor-sharp host of NBC's Tomorrow Show, became a recurring nightmare. From his first appearance in 1978, Snyder refused to follow the rhythm of The Tonight Show. He interrupted, controlled conversations, and constantly shifted focus to his own show. Carson's attempts to steer the audience fell flat as Snyder transformed the stage into an extension of his own program. On air, he shamelessly promoted his show, leaving Carson to mask irritation behind a tight smile. Offstage, Snyder's heavy drinking, erratic behavior, and rumored affairs further cemented Carson's disdain. To him, The Tonight Show was a sanctuary for laughter and professionalism, and Snyder's arrogance undermined both. Every encounter drained Carson, leaving the host exasperated and forced to rebuild control after each appearance. Yet, the late-night chaos didn't stop there. Norman Mailer, Pulitzer Prize-winning author, turned interviews into intellectual marathons. What should have been light conversation devolved into lectures on war, imperialism, and gender, leaving the studio tense and the audience restless. Off-camera, Mailer's reputation for violence, heavy drinking, and scandalous romances painted him as a man whose private life contradicted public intellectualism. Carson's disdain wasn't just professional, it was moral. Hosting Mailer meant sitting through arrogance, hypocrisy, and unpredictable outbursts, testing his patience like few others could. Shelley Winters, the impulsive actress, added yet another layer of chaos. On air, she disregarded timing, props, and convention, handing her high heel to Carson or drinking vodka mid-interview. Off-air, her party lifestyle, drunken antics, and endless scandals mirrored the disorder she brought to the stage. Carson, a master of control, found himself reacting to whims, forced to adapt to the unexpected, often while maintaining his public composure. Each guest left him mentally drained, underscoring that The Tonight Show, though a platform for humor, was also a battlefield where the king of late night fought for his domain against unpredictable, overwhelming personalities. The challenges for Johnny Carson didn't end with unpredictability or moral outrage. They continued with the rising generation of young, audacious stars who tested his authority. Chevy Chase, the breakout from Saturday Night Live, became a thorn in Carson's side. From his first appearance in 1975, Chase exhibited a casual arrogance, lounging, dodging questions, and relying on physical comedy over conversation. What should have been an exchange of wit turned into a subtle power grab. Audiences roared at his antics, but Carson, ever the seasoned host, sensed a challenge to his throne. As Chase's fame soared, his behavior offstage compounded Carson's frustration. Tales of wild parties, public drunkenness, confrontations, and casual affairs reached The Tonight Show backstage, confirming the host's fears. This young star was reckless, self-centered, and disrespectful to the craft Carson cherished. Carson's irritation with Chase wasn't limited to personality clashes. The audience itself became a battlefield. While fans applauded Chase's brashness, many wrote letters expressing their displeasure, lamenting that the show had shifted focus from Carson's mastery to a younger comedian testing limits. Incidents of tardiness, hangovers, and promotional stunts only deepened Carson's exasperation. The king of late night, who had built his reputation on professionalism, timing, and improvisational brilliance, now faced a guest who flaunted impudence as performance art, pushing boundaries with little regard for decorum. Across decades, these experiences left Carson vigilant, calculating, and wary of guests who threatened not only his stage, but his very control over The Tonight Show. The list of names that could unravel his carefully curated world, from legends like Sinatra and Hope to newcomers like Chase, served as a harsh reminder that influence, fame, and public adoration could mask chaos, danger, or betrayal. Behind the genial host seen nightly by millions lay a man who battled personal and professional affronts, safeguarding his legacy while enduring the unpredictable, sometimes destructive nature of stardom. Behind the laughter and nightly applause of The Tonight Show, Johnny Carson maintained a personal blacklist of guests who tested his patience, pride, and principles. From Hollywood legends to rising stars, each name carried a unique burden. Bob Hope, a celebrated icon, was a source of deep professional irritation. His intrusive entourage, rigid scripts, and relentless self-promotion hijacked The Tonight Show, turning it into a personal stage for advertising and vanity. Carson, who thrived on improvisation, felt suffocated. Beyond professional grievances, Hope's notorious personal life, numerous affairs, stinginess, and public displays of moral duplicity deepened Carson's contempt. Joan Rivers, once considered a protege, represented betrayal at its most personal. Rising from unknown to star, she had Carson's endorsement and affection, only to abandon loyalty when offered fame and control at Fox. Her obsession with cosmetic surgery, pursuit of scandal, and career-first mentality clashed with Carson's values, marking her as a cautionary tale of ambition turning destructive. Wayne Newton, Frank Sinatra, and George Carlin each presented distinct challenges. Newton's public fury, Sinatra's chaos and entitlement, and Carlin's unpredictable, tabulating humor reminded Carson that even laughter could carry risk, humiliation, or danger. Other guests tested his authority differently. Tom Snyder dominated the stage with arrogance and self-promotion, while Norman Mailer's philosophical monologues stifled spontaneity and spotlighted hypocrisy. Shelley Winter's impulsive on-air antics and party-fueled interviews drained Carson's patience, while Chevy Chase's youthful cockiness and disregard for etiquette threatened his late-night throne. Each confrontation reinforced a truth Carson knew but rarely expressed. The Tonight Show's success relied not only on his skill, but on controlling the chaos of those who entered his world. Ultimately, Carson's blacklist was more than personal grudges. It was a map of respect, loyalty, and the fine line between humor and havoc. Through decades of navigating stars' whims, scandals, and betrayals, Johnny Carson remained the master of late night, preserving professionalism while enduring the very human flaws of those who shared his stage. Behind the legendary host, a vigilant, discerning, and uncompromising man kept watch over his kingdom, protecting the art of comedy from chaos, one unforgettable guest at a time.